Good evening, everybody. This is Kim with KMZ at the PMZ studio.
Hello, this is Kim at Paranormal on Air in the Paranormal, what is it again? What are we calling this?
We are the PMZ
Studios. There we go. Good evening, everybody. Good to have you.
Hope everyone's doing good on this Mercury retrograde evening. And hope everyone's hanging in there. I wanted to introduce our special guest, Kyla Van Riper.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Kyla is from Las Vegas. Kyla's a psychic medium. She's also a paranormal investigator. That's how we met. Kyla also is a Reiki master, a pranic healer, and she heals both the living and the dead. Kyla, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing about as good as we can be.
So you had said that you've been a psychic medium since birth. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yeah, actually. Well, I was born this way. I had my first vision when I was 2 years old. And actually, ironically, it was a vision of Jesus. And so I didn't realize that that's what it was at the time. So I called it a dream. And then my mother thought I was possessed and took me to a priest. So that's a really long story for another time. But I survived that. And when I was 14, I started realizing the reason why I was different was because I could see things that other people couldn't, and that I could sense things before they happened sometimes. I had dreams about places that I'd never been before, connections to places that felt like maybe I had a past life there. So it was a really broad range of things that I started researching and getting into. And my mom had the Time Life series books that had actually that paranormal experiences included in those series. And so I read that cover to cover, I don't know how many times. And my favorite part was kind of the out-of-body experiences. And I started doing astral travel and walking. And so it's just been really a lifelong journey of learning about my abilities and what I can do and who I can help.
That's really interesting. At two? Age 2?
At 2.
Any experiences with ghosts or anything at that young age?
Actually, during the time that I had the vision, there was a demon that was actually included in with that vision of Jesus. So Jesus came first, then the demon came later, but the demon went off into my house and started creating havoc around my house. My parents got all messed up. And so it was really not a good situation, but eventually that did get cleaned up.
Does it run in your family?
It does, from my mother's side. Actually, I found that out recently, but my mom never wanted to, she never really wanted to pursue her gifts or anything. And so my sister didn't either, but she had no idea that either one of us had things going on until I started bringing it up and talking to her about it. So I thought that, she would really come around, and she just didn't want to have anything to do with it either. Mm-hmm. But I would never change who I am.
Well, are you Native American or anything like that?
There's been some speculation about that in my family history. We have a lot of different backgrounds. On one side, it's a lot of English, maybe that Native American, maybe African American. On the other side, it's a lot of Holland Dutch, and maybe a few other things mixed in.
I have a question for you, Kyla. Did you recall having bad dreams as a kid and just thought that they were dreams? Do you think you were seeing, people coming to visit you did you know at the time, or did you have bad dreams and nightmares as a kid?
Actually, no. I didn't really have a lot of nightmares that were out of the ordinary.
That's good.
So kids, they'll have the bad dreams on occasion,
Mm-hmm.
but my interaction was more along the lines of what people would call imaginary friends. Mm-hmm. So yeah. I was speaking with spirits throughout my entire childhood, mm-hmm. and thinking that, they were my friends, mm-hmm. and my family was calling them imaginary. Mm-hmm. So how was I supposed to know?
Did you know at the time that they were not alive, or would you just think they looked like everybody else?
They just looked like everybody else. I mean, sometimes they were animals, sometimes they were dragons or other mythical creatures, fairies. So it was quite a wide range of them.
Very cool.
Very interesting. So growing up then, did you live in certain places where there was the land, where you had attachments to the land or spirits?
Actually, yeah, because I grew up in upstate New York. So out there, it's just a lot of Indian territory, a lot of stuff. A couple of times after being back, because I have left home. I left home when I was 18 and traveled in different things around the country, lived in different states. So I've been pretty much in a lot of different places. And one of my more recent memories was actually going back home. I was living at home for a while. And in my apartment, I was doing a meditation, and I suddenly was kind of transported to the way it looked back before there was a settlement, back before there were cities, when the natives still inhabited the land. And it was just a really, really interesting experience.
So how'd you end up in Las Vegas?
Long story. So the long story made short is that I was moving and ran out of moving money. That's it.
I actually have another question too. I know we know you, and I met you through the paranormal investigation route, and we've been on some investigations. But what got you to transition from all of your gifts and abilities and actually get into the paranormal investigating side?
I wanted to do that a long time ago. About 20 years ago, I tried looking at a paranormal team, and they told me to come back when I graduated. But by the time I had graduated school, I went off to college, and from there, I just kept going along my spiritual path. So I wanted to learn how to heal people and really work my spiritual journey. So when I landed here in Vegas, I finally had the opportunity to connect with the team and actually get the validation and the proof that my abilities are what I say they are.
Fantastic.
And I've also been on some investigation with you, and what
Yes,
you
yeah.
were able to say, I was able to catch on with the equipment, so I can confirm your abilities as well.
Very cool.
I also think that you and Kim have some wonderful gifts. You kind of are similar with how you can just walk into a house and pick up on things immediately.
Yeah.
Those are wonderful gifts. Does it ever get too much for you?
Oh God, yes. I honestly can sometimes I'll walk into a building and it's kind of like the building is telling me its story. So it'll be like, oh, this piece of furniture was over here, and this is where the curtains were, and this is what they looked like, and this is what the wallpaper was, and this is where this person was going, and this is where this person was going. And it's so much that it's just like, wow, please stop and wait for me to calm down. There was this one investigation that we did here in Nevada. And as soon as I walked into the kitchen area, and there was somebody else that had been a paranormal investigator that was there, but was not on our team, was on a visiting team that was showing us some of the hot spots in the building. And as soon as I walked into the kitchen, now this is the funny part. Okay, as soon as I walk into the kitchen, there are all of these spirits, and they're going, come here, come here, come here, come here. And I'm like, whoa, hey, come on, I can't focus my eyes going from a light to dark like that. I have to turn on my flashlight. Hang on. And they were going, come in, come in, come in. And the kid, unbeknownst to me, was actually listening to one of the SBA or spirit boxes in his ear, but he had an earpiece in, and he was listening to that. And as soon as I was like, yeah, okay, I'm here, I understand, calm down, I'm coming in, he basically looked at me and he said, I almost shite myself, because as soon as you said that, I heard them say, come in, in the spirit box. And I was like, okay. So that was just kind of funny. But it can be a little much sometimes when they rush you and you're just, yeah, I know you're here. Hang on. Give me a minute to get my bearings about me so I can talk to you.
It's kind of like they get excited, like, oh my God, finally somebody, hello, we've been here a while.
Yeah,
You can
exactly.
see me, right?
You can see me. You can talk
You
to
can
me.
talk to me.
Please
Yay.
talk to me.
Have you not only, of course, gone into buildings and, land and different things like that on your investigations, but what about going into locations and interacting with, let's say, objects? Any issues there or perceptions on that?
Most of my investigations, no. I haven't come across haunted objects for most of them. But there are a lot of people that are attached to the places where they love to be in. They loved living there, visiting there. And so a lot of times they will leave behind a residential energy.
Okay. Oh, well, we were wondering, was there some questions, or are you just interacting? Or okay. We've got Rocky here with us. He's the producer of this show. If anybody has any questions, he'll be sure to respond and let us know so we can interact with anybody that's watching.
Yep, sure.
Hi, Rocky.
Hello.
Hello.
Anybody out there experience things themselves? Or are you guys, gifted and have kind of walked the same journey? Are there any other paranormal investigators out there? What have you guys experienced? Please feel free to comment. We love to hear from all of you out there. We know a lot of you have probably had experience as well, and maybe you haven't been able to feel comfortable talking to other people. Maybe you thought that they wouldn't understand, or maybe they just haven't experienced what you have. But, we're here to be a voice for you to help answer questions. And if you have any, topics you guys want to bring up or have any questions for us tonight, we're happy to answer those or hear from you. So please feel free.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to know, what's a pranic healer?
Oh, it's actually pronounced pranic.
Pranic.
Okay, like chronic, but Pranic. It's called pranic healing, and I actually happened upon that while I was living in Oregon. I was visiting a psychic fair out there. It's the first one ever. Woo! And I ran into so many different psychics, and there was a really, really good vibes
What
all
kind
around.
what part of Oregon?
I was actually living on the coast, so this was out near Waldport, and a little bit ways from there was this psychic fair. So I stopped in, and I actually learned about pranic healing from one of the displays that they had there. And she actually had a scholarship program, so I got $100 off my fee, and it was great. I went up. She actually invited me to stay at her house, the instructor did, and I learned the basic steps. But from there, I could basically do the rest on my own, because it's very, very easy work that you can do through the books, and there are definite steps with that. What it basically does is give you a very, very intense chakra healing, and when you combine that with the overall gentleness of Reiki, it can be a very, very intense, but also at the same time a gentle cleansing, and it's very thorough. So if you've got a lot of gunk in there, it's going to get it out.
Tell us about gunk. I've seen to have some abilities to help remote healing and removing some gunk, but I can't explain it. What is gunk?
So in energy terms, energy has different colors. So it's red, blue, green, yellow, orange. Usually the gunk is something brown or black.
Yes.
Okay. So if somebody, when we talk about them having gunk in their aura, that's basically, look, you've got a lot of used up energy. It's turned brown. It's gross. Let's get it out of there. And once the cleansing is done, then we can definitely energize that area and actually put together the better energies.
Well, Kim Anderson, as far as energy goes, would you say that energy, if a high vibrating, can kind of like break up gunk? Is that how that works?
That would be actually a perfect example of how it works. Gunk is just, I use the word sludge. Everybody has a different terminology for it. It's sluggish, it's sludge, it's
Mud.
Mud. It's just basically energy that has become heavier, denser, doesn't have a lot of movement to it.
Would you say calloused or some
just
kind of buildup?
Think of still water, like a pond or something, versus running water, like, with a waterfall or
go.
something. There's more movement to it. There's more energy to it.
Stagnant.
Stagnant.
It's stagnant. It's more.
Stagnant.
It's more like a mud puddle.
Yeah.
It's not going anywhere.
Right.
It's not flowing. It's not
Exactly.
healing, and it's brown. It's disgusting. And you put your toes in it, of course, you're going to get squishy, and it's going to feel gross and whatnot. But if you go jumping into a lake or something, there's always going to be that flowing of water, whether the river comes in or there's a waterfall or whatever. But there's always movement. So it's a little bit better of a visual.
And going back to the vibration, it's absolutely everything. So the more you can raise the vibration and the frequency of something, of course, the more light, the more movement can be in there. So a lot of people will talk to in terms of, hey, I would need to raise my vibe or my vibration or, increase my frequency. And there's many ways to do that, but that is the best example of how we can get into like situations of poor health, poor mental health, poor physical health, many things like even spiritual health, just in many different levels that way. And so doing different activities, going to see, reputable healers, there's many different modalities out there, and there's ways that, people can take that into their own care too, to, do things to help get that energy moving along and raise their own vibration and improve their health.
Well, how would a person out there watching know if they had gunk or if they needed help with their spiritual cleansing? How would a person know?
Go ahead, Kyla.
Well, one of the things that you would feel, obviously you would feel very heavy, low energy. So you would be really sleepy, really tired, exhausted, lethargic. And you may start having some health problems, getting sick, having colds, stuffy sinuses, sore throat, things like that will start manifesting throughout your body, aches and pains. And so a lot of that can signify that maybe you're not actually getting sick, but you have taken in a lot of extra stuff lately, and that has really stagnated your free-flowing auric energy. And so once we get that cleaned up, you may actually recover.
True. Also emotions too sometimes. I think you mentioned and touched on that. A lot of times people just might get more anxious, not feel too grounded, so they get kind of spacey and just don't feel like themselves, feel out of sorts, maybe confused and just kind of having trouble, making decisions and being focused. There's a lot of different ways that can show up for people. It's very, very varied.
Well, one of the main topics that I really wanted to do when I started having this show is how can the everyday people keep their environments flowing or high energy, and how would a person keep the energy good in their environment?
Well, one of the things that a lot of people have picked up on, even if they don't practice a spirituality, is saging, and that's what a lot of people will pick up on. And saging or smudging is basically taking a bundle of sage leaves that have been dried and prepared specially, wrapped with a single cord, the lighting the end, and the smoke actually, according to the natives, was called spirit stink. So it would actually get rid of a lot of spirits that were kind of hanging out in the household that you didn't really want there. But a lot of the sicknesses and illnesses that can build up over winter can actually be dispelled with the smoke. And another thing is opening up the curtains, letting in the light, swapping out air. So even if it's a cooler day, maybe for just like a 30-minute time period, opening up the window and letting the air circulate and getting some fresh air in. So those are the types of things that you can really see will make a big difference in the household, getting things cleaned up, wiping up all the dust and stuff, and just allowing yourself to breathe in a clean space.
Very interesting. So what I know about sage, maybe you confirm or else it's not true, it kind of has the odor of like a frankincense. And frankincense is considered to be very high vibrational, along with rose and myrrh and things like that. Yeah. And then so that high vibrating smell, does that help to get rid of negativity?
Well, it's not necessarily the smell. The smell is great. So, I really love my sage, but it's not so much the smell, it's so much the act of allowing the things that have been stagnant in the air to be released and back into the universe to be recycled.
What do you mean things in the air? How does the smoke from the sage help dispel negativity or things in the air?
So it's kind of like salt. If you get bunch of table salt. Okay, it has an ionizing feature. So what ionizing does is it obviously is going to collect a lot of the negative electrons from the air, and then basically the smoke will, once you release it outside, you want to open up a window or a door or something, but when you release it outside, then it will recycle it. But the ionization is really what's happening.
Got it. Are there other things to do to help clear the environments?
Yeah, there's plenty of things. People will oftentimes say they feel better if they invite over like very happy company, like if you have really super good friends and they come over and everybody's very loving and supportive of you and you have a nice time. That's why housewarmings have been done when people move into a new home. Sound is a really huge one.
Music,
Music,
prayer.
Just noise, laughter. Those are the less obvious ones. Prayer obviously is huge for people if they're a little bit more religious. Just about anything. It's about intention, really. The substances are great because it helps you to attach to something, to make you feel like you're utilizing something, as she said, cleansing the air. Doing a deep clean. Feng Shui will really talk as a realtor. I'm really big on that. Just moving things around. The act of
Cleanliness.
dusting. Just move things.
Cleanliness
Even just
is next to godliness.
move your furniture.
Yep.
Reorganize a little bit. Just throw some papers and stagnant stuff away. There's many things that you can do. To just kind of get that air moving, the air, the fans, like she said, opening doors and windows, and just inviting really beautiful friends over, like us, and just having a good time.
I think that's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
really some good information. I hope everyone can get something out of that.
Well, let me add in one extra thing.
Yeah, sure.
Is sometimes the opposite, actually having a quiet space. Because if your world is normally noisy, you've got a lot of chaos going on. Sometimes just having that quiet space to sit down, read a book,
That's true.
play on your phone, as long as there's nothing else, no other noise or anything going on, and you find that quiet space to just sit back and relax and decompress.
That's true.
That's going to help you out tenfold.
Meditative.
Exactly.
Some quiet time. I agree with
Exactly.
that one. We don't get much of that these days, do we?
No. Mm-mm.
No, not at all. I was just going to mention something too. You guys were talking about sage. I don't know if you guys have seen this. I'm sure you have. But, now big surprise. Remember the Indians and Native Americans, and a lot of us are very into shamanism and, the teepees. Look what they used to burn in the teepee over people that were ill. But now, hospitals are seeing the scientific research that it actually helps to, minimize bacteria and viruses in the air. So now it's scientifically proven that sage actually does serve a purpose that we have all been aware of for a very long time.
Yep, exactly.
One of the topics that we are going to be discussing on our show is shamanism and the importance of females right now and tradition and the things that Native Americans practiced are some of the things that are coming back, and those are are you aware? You're pretty much aware of some of those things, Native American?
Yes, I am, actually. I had a Native American spirit guide for a really long time. He's been with me since I was 14. And he had to go away for a little while and came back when I was 30. So I'm 42 now. It's 12 years since he came back into my life. So, he's been hanging around and having a little fun on some of the investigations and playing some tricks on some of my close investigators. Yeah, Kim. Anyway, he basically told me that, look, if you want it, you have to make it. And so it's not a matter of earning money. Sometimes you just have to get the materials and, whatever you need, you have to make it yourself. And that is one of the key plays of shamanism, is that you're going to make your own medicines. You're going to basically take whatever it is from the other person. You're going to take it into yourself and put it into something else, because you are the conduit for that healing. And so I actually happened upon a book that I cannot find for the life of me that was written in the 1970s. And it actually explains this guy's journey through shamanism, and I felt very compelled to follow some of that path. Not the whole thing, but definitely some of that path, because I was taking so much in that I was keeping it in, and it was hurting me. So now I figured out how to let it go and how to move it on to where it was needed to be for those types of healings that needed a shamanic healer.
You just made me think of a very good point, and we're all about education here and letting people know that it's not about speaking absolute truth. We're just here to give education, thoughts, go with your own intuition, listen to your own intuition. Sometimes the things that work for you today or this week or this month or this year might shift next week, or, just really, really tune in. And if it resonates with you, work with it, use it. But if it's not something that's, resonating with you, please, by all means, it's not that there's anything wrong with the information, just it's not where you're at the moment. So things come and go, take little pieces of different technologies or different books. And, you're probably like me. You'll have a book that you've probably had on your shelf that you bought long time ago, and you cracked it open for maybe a minute, read a paragraph, and then you completely forgot about it. And then you take it off the shelf again, could even be years later going, oh my God, it's still relevant today. Information is information, whether it's timeless, really. So it's just a matter of
do you remember the name of the book?
Yeah, do you remember?
Honestly, I really don't remember the name of the book. I know it was about shamanism, but I can't tell you anything else.
Oh, that's really cool.
So I wanted to move on to the next topic. And the next topic was about attachments to people, attachments to items. One of the curious things are those attachments to dolls and things. But how would you know the difference between an attachment and sort of like a possession? Are they the same thing? Are they different? What's the difference?
Okay, so an attachment can happen in any type of relationship with any spirit that is out there. So in my case, my spirit guide and I do have an energy cord, but he serves a purpose, and it's a very friendly attachment. And so he is able to follow me from place to place, find me wherever I need to, wherever I go. So that way, if I need him and I can call to him, he comes, he lets me know what's up, and I can work with it.
Very interesting. Now, you said a spiritual cord.
Yes, they're often referred to as energy cords. So when we talk about a spiritual attachment, sometimes an energy cord will run from the bonds or relationships that we form. So sometimes it's with a spirit. There are energy attachments that happen between couples. There are energy attachments that happen between friends and family members. And so those cords, sometimes they're healthy and sometimes they're not. And so in the healing practices, a lot of times we will cut those negative energy cords, but we'll leave the positive ones in place to keep those relationships strong. So when it comes down to spirit attachment, literally all we're doing is forming an energy cord, forming that bond between yourself and that otherworldly being. And sometimes those attachments, those cords can be connected to objects as well. So in order to get rid of the spirit, sometimes if it's a negative influence, and when I say a negative influence, it can be a demonic haunting, but not always. Sometimes it is a person that is trying to take over the body so they can finish whatever it is they were trying to do before they died. And the difference between the two is mine is healthy. Okay, so my spirit guide will come up and he'll touch me and he'll stroke my hair and, get my attention in very nice, warm, loving ways. Whereas a negative attachment will a lot of times attack you in certain ways. They will oppress you, infiltrate some thoughts sometimes and give you negative thoughts. Going back to that low energy state where you're feeling lethargic, lost periods of time where you don't remember things, but people say that you did stuff, which is leading more towards a spiritual possession. Those are the types, that's the difference between the two. One is friendly and one is healthy, and the other one is not. It makes you sick.
Well, can you explain more about a possession? Now, does a possession also have an energy cord?
Yes. A possession will always have an energy cord because you have formed a bond between yourself and that spirit. But it's one of those unhealthy bonds. So this spirit will make you think it's its friend to start, but then it starts doing little things and saying, oh no, go do this, go do that. And they're not good things. They're, like take drugs, drink alcohol, kill your cat, kill your family. Those are the types of things that, when you start looking at a spiritual possession, those are the types of things that this spirit's going to start doing. And then if you don't comply with it, it's going to attack you. It's going to leave scratches. It's going to leave marks. And then eventually it could actually move inside and take over your body where you will basically kind of fall asleep at the wheel.
Now, how does that happen? So an attachment can turn to a possession where it moves inside, and then it's an inner connection versus an outer?
Yeah, actually kind of in that way, except for the fact that the spirit is you don't necessarily want it there, but you've already invited it in. And in order to get rid of it, you kind of have to disinvite it. So it's basically, you cannot have a spirit inhabit the same body at the same time. Okay. So one of you is always going to be in the driver's seat. And so if that spirit becomes part of you and hides inside of you, it's not outside of you anymore, it's not attacking you, but it's coming from inside, and then that is considered to be a possession, and that's where they take over. You lose track of time. They could commit murders and do all kinds of stuff, and you wouldn't remember anything about it.
Wow. Okay. Kim?
Expand a little bit. In what ways can they actually take over? Is it in physical ways only? Can it be emotional? What ways can that occur usually?
That's part of the influence. So that would actually be considered to be oppression, not possession, if they're influencing your emotions.
Perfect. Cool. Thanks for that clarity.
Anytime.
Very interesting. So what about attachments to objects? Did you have a question before
Actually, I
we move
was
on?
going to mention, I think this is just a personal opinion, and I'd be curious to get your guys' opinion as well. Do you feel that possession is as common as people claim? This is just your personal opinion I'm curious about.
I think maybe oppression is a little bit more common, but not as common as demonic influence. And demonic influence is basically that, that little demon that's sitting on your shoulder, and, you've got an angel on one shoulder, demon on the other, and then demon's going, hey, you're going to do this bad stuff over here. Hey, you're not good. You're not worthy. You're not, you're not worth it. And you should go kill yourself and things like that. That's the type of stuff that is considered to be the demonic influence, that constant negative down talk, making you feel bad about yourself, cutting down your self-esteem, and those types of things. And so that is the most common. But even still, a true demonic attachment is very, very, very rare.
Oh, interesting.
Leona says, hi, ladies. Blessings.
Hi, Leona.
Thank you, Leona.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for tuning in.
Rocky, any comments? So what we've been talking about so far? Did you want to interject with anything?
No.
Perfect.
So, moving on, how can spirits or whatever get attached to objects?
So let's just say I have this handy little contraption here. It's called a cell phone. And I love my cell phone so much that when I die, I am actually, part of my energy is going to be left here. And so it's completely turned off, and out of the blue, my friends are all mourning my passing, and all of a sudden it lights up and says, hi guys. That is me being attached to this object, because I can basically form that attachment with my energy cord to my cell phone. So that's just an example as to how people can become attached to those objects. And sometimes it is a spirit. In the case of the Annabelle doll that everybody knows about, that was somebody actually inviting a demonic in to the doll. And once it was invited in to inhabit the doll, that is where that energy cord took place. And they basically formed that attachment to the doll.
So there's cords there too.
Yes, absolutely. And that can happen with a place, that can happen with objects, that can happen, again, that can happen with pretty much just about anything.
What's really, really, really a hot topic are the haunted dolls.
Yeah.
Would you say?
I actually would say so. A lot of people are trying to make money off of haunted dolls. You should see the number of
That's
supposedly
right.
demonically haunted dolls on eBay.
Right.
Why is Catholicism always based on getting rid of these entities rather than other factual natures?
Catholicism is a really difficult topic to understand, because actually it doesn't come from the teachings of Jesus, although they teach Jesus. Actually, if you read the book of, I believe it's the book of Romans, that is the letter from St. Paul to the Romans. And Paul was actually originally Saul, who originally was against the Christians, and he was persecuting them and that stuff. So actually I grew up Catholic, so hi. So
Me too.
okay, so basically the entire religion is based on that book, and that comes from me going through and being shown by the universe what the meaning of the whole religion was. It was based on that. And so basically Paul became the new Jesus according to that religion. So he was so in love with the spiritual world that he actually did not want to have a physical being anymore. And that is the birth of the Gnostic religions, the hateful of the flesh, wanting to be wanting to be with the spirit and constantly striving towards that perfection. So
Very interesting.
I'm sorry, I'm like getting off track again. Remind me what the question was.
Why is Catholicism always based on getting rid of like some type of demonic entities rather than any other religion that could have the probability of doing it?
Okay, actually, all religions do have a thing against evil. It's just like the Muslim religions, to my understanding, those will actually try to not have it take place in the first place. Like, okay, and that is where the whole other religions, infidels, whatever, it comes into play. Catholicism, on the other hand, says, look, we acknowledge that good and evil exists. We acknowledge that there are angels. We acknowledge that there are demons. We acknowledge that demons will try to hurt you, and we acknowledge that demons will try to possess you. And so we will try to get rid of that possession.
Jordan has a question. So if you're so connected to something or love something, you can have pretty much be attached to that in the afterlife?
Yes, that is absolutely true. So there is, I cannot remember the name of the hotel, but there is a hotel in Hollywood that Marilyn Monroe used to visit all the time. And there is a mirror there that people will snap a photo and get her reflection in the mirror. And she was so attached to that place that she visits, and a lot of people will call this residual energy, but it's still that energy that is there. So she loved this place so much, and she used to stop in that one mirror all the time, check her makeup on her way out the door. And so in the afterlife, yes, you can actually go back to these places and visit these places that you absolutely loved and had this affinity to in life.
Kim, you and I actually were in that hotel, did we not? We even took some photos in there and I forgot the name of it. I actually think it starts with a P, but I can't remember at this time. We'll look that up and get back to you.
Is it Roosevelt?
Yes, sorry. Oops, way off.
Roosevelt. The
Roosevelt. It's the Roosevelt.
Roosevelt Hotel.
Yeah,
That's
we
it,
went up the
that's it.
staircase and took the photos, and we had a good, interesting, you can actually feel some energy up in there. I remember this now.
It was amazing.
It's really
hotel,
amazing hotel.
You walk in there and it just takes you back.
Yeah, you can feel that. That's a great question. Thanks for asking that.
So, is it a portion of your being that stays attached, or is it your entire spirit that stays attached that can move around?
Are there infinite numbers of stars in the universe?
Yes.
It can be anything. It can be a part of you. So you could actually have a little part of you in different parts of America and have that be your wonderful place to visit. And you continually go back to that. Or you could have just one place. And a lot of times we think people are stuck in the place, like in the place that they died in, because they loved the home and they passed away there. And that's the only place you'll ever see them. And so it could be that too.
I got a question.
I have an answer.
I know. That's why we got you here. If you were going to haunt a location, where would you haunt?
That's actually a really good question.
That is a really good question.
Oh, let's see. There's a number of places I would love to be. One of my favorite places when I lived in Oregon was the beach. So you might see me walking along the beach in my nightgown.
That's creepy.
Not that kind of nightgown. Let's see. Oh gosh. I've been to so many wonderful places. You might see me on the reservation in Montana that I used to live on. I lived there for 11 months, and I loved it, and I loved the people. I just haven't been able to go back. So, hi, my Montana Crow friends. Hi. Let's see. One of the places that I would absolutely love to haunt. I want to go to the Haunted Mansion in Disney World. That would be a fun place to go. Because I went there as a kid and I just fell in love with that place.
Me too.
But probably would be my retirement home mostly. So I haven't found the place to fall in love with yet, and to retire and to, pass away in a house or whatever. But when I find that house, I'm absolutely probably going to haunt there.
I got a question from Leona to Kimberly. I'm not sure which one of the Kims.
It's me. I know. Hi, Leona.
Okay.
Hello.
The question is Kimberly, I met you in Vegas. No chance or coincidence. So as you all know, Kimberly knows I asked her about a family. My behavior became about egos. I just know when it is right or wrong. I now feel I have asked a mentor to help. My question is did my ego, like I'm trying to read this. Did my ego get so involved out of knowing, or could I have had their energy or entities trying to attack or
That's
attach?
a really, really good question. Sometimes I think we get triggered by people, and sometimes I have a feeling these two ladies over here are going to agree with where I'm about to go with this. Sometimes if you're if you're an older soul and you're back here to be a teacher, an educator, we all are. We all learn from one another. But my answer for you is sometimes what you thought was your ego, you might have been actually the teacher in that particular case. Maybe you got triggered. Maybe you felt like you needed to defend yourself. But I actually don't know that it was as much ego as you feel that it was. Maybe you were being triggered by the ego of others and just responding to what you saw. And I think that it's totally justified with where you were. Speaking of this, I knew this lady. We met at a show here in Vegas, and we just happened to get seated next to each other. And
Interesting.
yeah, coincidentally, she contacted me to help a family located in another state that's having. So this is a really great topic. If it's okay with you, I won't disclose the nature of anything too serious, but this actually leads right into our topic. So my answer to you, Leona, is I do not feel that you were an ego. I think that you might have been triggered by the ego, maybe potentially of others, and there's no judgment here. I'm not into that space, and I don't think that you were, but I appreciate you trying to acknowledge that. I think you're just learning a lesson. I think that everybody is, and so I think you're okay. You're learning, and you were the voice. You're the voice for this family. She is a psychic medium, just like myself and like Kyla, and this family is suffering terribly in another state. I was actually brought into the chat. There is a local group that's a paranormal group that was going to help this location, and the coincidence here is that the situation is that the family started getting all kinds of activity after dealing with, let's talk about this. How much can we all say that we have been there, done that, and been called in on cases like this where somebody worked with a Ouija board? This is so much a lot of the work that we get, but here we go, going into the topic of what we originally were going to discuss tonight, and that is attachment cords, different types of things that happen, and somebody well-meaning in the family just wanted to make contact with somebody on the other side and taught the children. Everybody in the family used the board, and now hence we have some issues going on. So Leona, you can pipe in, chat there with us, let us know how we can help you if there's anything else you want to talk about. But it's just an interesting case here. But we could go back to the topic again if you want about objects and Ouija boards.
Let me interject one thing about
go.
that whole ego thing, if I could. Ego is a very trippy subject, actually.
What?
What the heck was that?
I thought you were going to go.
Yes, it is. It is definitely an interesting topic there. Ego.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a tricky subject
Yes, it
because we, as part of the New Age movement, a big thing was about ego and letting go of the ego and being humble
Absolutely.
and this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
And actually, I think that was kind of a divergent. Yeah, it's a good thing to
Yeah, we
be
need
aware
ego.
of, but
But.
you need to be authentic. Okay, so look at me. I look like this wholesome, wonderful person, and everybody thinks I'm this whole wonderful person, except for that guy.
That's a blowhorn.
The difference between maybe me and some other people is that some other people, when they're a jerk, they don't actually realize that they're being a jerk. I know I'm a jerk. Okay, I'm being authentic. I know I'm a jerk. I can be a jerk. I'm gonna be a jerk. Okay, I'm just not gonna be sorry for it because sometimes I need to be that jerk to teach a purpose
There we
to
go.
somebody.
There we go.
That's
Amen,
being
sister.
authentic.
That's
I believe
that's what we need
that.
to strive for is to be authentic to ourselves. Yes,
Leona says, thank you. The daughter is once again hospitalized, and the mom, several mental illnesses, etc.
Okay, tell her private message me, and we'll work on that remotely.
Be sure to private message Blonde Kim,
Okay, perfect.
and you find her at Kim Anderson Lloyd,
Kimberly Anderson Lloyd on Facebook.
and
Yep.
she will private message you, and you could communicate with her.
And if need be, I'll call in these two lovely ladies here on this show as well, because we all do this work together.
Absolutely.
You're in good hands. Okay,
Absolutely.
we'll help you. But I agree with you on that ego subject, and sometimes it is just necessary to be in that space for teaching, but also
Teaching.
just get real. Like, look at
Yeah,
yourself in the
exactly.
mirror and be like, oops. There's no judgment even with self. Like today, oops, I fell back into a weird pattern. I got triggered. Amen. Leona, same thing. We get triggered. We look in the mirror. We say, oops, okay, great. What do I do? How do I do something different? How do I do something
Yes,
better? And what do I
exactly.
need to learn from
You
this?
let it go and you learn.
I got another question.
Perfect.
So we're talking about attachments. So I know I love doing Kyla was stating that these things were invited as far as attachments to certain dolls or whatever objects that may be within their home. Now, let's talk about a Ouija board or something of status of those natures. Are those invited, or are those just things that just happen to accumulate energy from using them?
That's
like
invited.
as far as like a spirit bar, or how do you feel?
100%. It's 100% invited because you actually have to go out, you have to purchase the Ouija board, you have to bring it home, and you have to open the circle. It doesn't just manifest on its own. You have to literally touch it, and you have to act as the channel for that energy to come through and open that doorway. So it's
Open the
always,
door.
always, always
Exactly.
invited
It's
in.
invited. Open the door. Exactly. You open the conversation, and people always forget too, and I'm just going to stress this like emphatically. You got to close the door, and people really should be working carefully with those because there's a protocol for doing that safely.
Exactly. It's a tool and nothing more. You
right.
don't want to use that to conjure up something that you don't think you can control, because trust me, you ain't going to control it.
No, it's just like making a phone call. You make the phone call, you hang up.
Exactly.
And that's exactly goes into my next question, is as far as spirit communication through devices, as far as my spirit boxes. Do you feel that attachments to spirit boxes are more considered to Ouija boards? Because the reason why I ask is, like, when I talk about spirit communication and spirit boxes, people aren't afraid. But when I bring up the subject of Ouija boards, they freak out. So what are your thoughts on that opinion?
Again, a tool is a tool is a tool. So I'm not afraid of Ouija boards. Okay. And I will absolutely use them when the time is necessary and right. But honestly, I don't have a use for one because I still have the free spirit communication. So I have no reason to have one. But sometimes I do need a little extra help if the message isn't clear, and sometimes it can be very clarifying. And using the SB7 Spirit Box or whatever, it can be very clarifying if you are getting something really muddy and they're not able to I can't talk today. It's Mercury retrograde, okay, people? So basically...
We believe you.
So basically, just, I just view a tool as a tool.
Do you believe in spirit boxes and that things are able to communicate with the dead?
I can't. I do. I mean, we did use it. We had an experience in my first trip to Goldfield High School. I was in the basement with the kindergarten room where all the the letters are up there and you can write on the board and stuff.
Yeah.
These guys know what I'm talking about. But in the basement room, one of the rooms, I actually was there with a group of kids. We were having some, not kids, but the younger generation paranormal investigators
Right.
that were with us. And so we were there investigating, and I said, okay, kids, let's play a game. And I put up Hangman on the board. And I said, okay, now you've got to guess letters and find out if it's going to be an actual, word. You've got to find out the word. So we had the spirit box going, and you actually heard K, C, L coming through the spirit box, and it was, we were sweeping, so there was obviously no radio interference. And Goldfield, Nevada has only one radio station, so
That is true. I was going to say Goldfield is like not a exactly
not.
productive
It's
town.
really
You only
not.
have one station.
exactly, and it's on
Right.
an FM. It's on an FM sweep, so if you do an AM sweep, you won't get anything.
That's
No,
true.
not at all. And if you
So
get
we were-
and if you get communication on an AM sweep, God bless you.
Yeah, exactly.
It did,
You're
but we
lucky.
did, and we got like the letters. They were guessing the letters, and it was
Oh,
great.
wow.
I loved it, and so, we played one game. We played a couple of different games. We played tic tac toe, and we had them like saying, "Okay," and I was pointing to the different squares on the board, and they were going, "There, yeah, that one." It was so cool, and it's just it can be a really wonderful communication tool. I don't think that there would be a spirit attachment that would form to either one of them, but if you were afraid of that, you could definitely do a cleansing with some sage to just clean it off before you leave the location and take your equipment with you.
I got another question. Do you look up to anyone like in the paranormal field, like I am the Warrens and Carl Jung in parapsychology? Who do you look to as far as like people that have actually done some things in history as far as parapsychology or paranormal
work? Okay, well, going back to being 14 and doing my research and learning about my abilities and stuff, I actually went into Wicca, and so my first paranormal hero was Lori Cabot.
Oh,
Yes.
this is a first for me. Okay.
Salem's original witch.
Yeah.
I
Yes,
love
that
her.
is true.
I absolutely loved her. So she was my first paranormal hero because she was the one who explained to me how I could use my gifts in her books. And I loved reading that stuff. I mean, anytime I got one of her books, it was just like end to end. But unfortunately, I don't have any of them right now. But she was my first paranormal hero. And then the next one on my top list is Zach Bagans, because him being as sensitive himself and actually coming out as a sensitive, that actually helped me several years ago to come out as a sensitive
Interesting.
and be like, look, this is who I am. I'm not going to hide this anymore.
Who's Zach Bagans?
If you don't know,
For people that don't know, yeah.
For
Who
the
might
people that
not,
don't know,
right.
Zach Bagans is the host and lead investigator, producer of Ghost Adventures on Travel Channel.
That's been out for about 15 years. Is that
Forever.
Yeah.
Since 2007.
Okay, I got a question. It says, can you also talk more about psychic self-defense, opening and
Yes.
closing?
Let's do this.
Okay, psychic self-defense. One of my best go-to methods is grounding. Grounding, it's a meditation that you do. You want to be here in the moment. A lot of psychiatrists will use this method. If you feel yourself becoming kind of lost in an energetic field or whatever, it's where am I? Okay, who am I with? What am I doing? And asking the who, what, where, why questions. And then I also like to do a meditation where I would imagine myself as a tree, and my feet would be the roots, and my arms would be the branches. And so I kind of like stretch my arms up, like here I'm the branches. My feet I'd imagine them going into the earth, and actually like really getting into the earth. That's one of the reasons why when I was out in Oregon, I used to walk on the beach all the time, because it was, that barefoot connection, getting that connection to the earth and really feeling like I was a part of my surroundings. So that is one way that you can psychically defend yourself. I also have my spirit guides. I have several of them, as well as dragon and a couple other mythical, mythical ethereal creatures that I've had pretty much my entire life with me. And they do a lot of my defense work for me, so I don't have to spend so much energy on that, and I can actually move on with my journey and actually help the people that I need to help. Another thing is crystals will be a good thing that can help you out. Burning a black candle and just letting that burn to its end point to dispel any negative energy. That is a good defense tool as well.
Is there any specific color of a candle or?
Black candle. As far as crystals,
crystals, yes.
Crystals, I like to go with obsidian or magnetic hematite. And magnetic hematite has some really good anti-inflammatory properties.
What about that black one? It's
obsidian?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good grounding tool, a really good negating tool as well.
I have one to mention for the tool. Simply not crystals, but just not going into fear. That's a key too, as well as grounding.
Absolutely.
I'm a huge fan of grounding, and that's like the one thing that I really believe is super important. Grounding could just be taking your shoes and socks off, going outside. Mm-hmm. I absolutely agree with you on that. It's super huge, but really also just not stepping into fear and remembering the immense power and the ability we have to say, you know what, leave.
Exactly.
Can you explain a little bit more of what kind of psychic attacks can happen and why?
Oh, God. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
It's immense. I'm sure you'll hit the list and you go for it, and I'll chime in where you...
Can you ask the viewer what is any specifics?
For myself, I've actually come across some people who thought they were big bad witches, and they literally drained my energy. Like, it took me 2 days to recover, and I said, okay, enough of that. And after I recovered my physical energy, I literally just went on the warpath, and I said, okay, you are barred from coming in my house. Your psychic energy is not coming in here anymore, because you can astral travel. You do have your own spiritual cord that attaches your spirit to your body. So you can actually use that to travel outside of your body. You can do like a lot of mental visualization. One of my favorite visualizations was riding on the back of my dragon over the sea by the coastal seas in Spain. So that was a great visualization, meditation, and astral travel journey. And so you can actually go different places where your physical body's in one location, but your spirit has actually traveled to another, and you have that energy cord that actually will help you find your way back to your body. So this person was actually...
How did you know you were being attacked? And by who?
I literally... Well, it's everybody has their own, what I like to call a psychic signature. So you have your own vibration that is actually as unique to you as your fingerprints. And so after she had actually been in my house with her paranormal group, and this was while I was living out in Oregon, she had decided that she was the big bad, wolf. She didn't like the fact of my energy. She didn't like my abilities being more than hers. And she actually drained my energy. And so I was like, no. And I put up that border and I put up a wall and I said, you are no longer allowed in.
So the viewer you asked the viewer what specifically, and they said, yes, I have had spirit trying to have some form of sex. That's the end of the quote. So that's your guys's.
I can take that one too. I've experienced that myself with what they call psychic rape, where they've tried to come in and get into that space, and I'm sure Kyla will go there.
I know there's a couple of things called incubus and a succubus as well. That is correct.
But there can be just other energies, entities that come in that actually want to get into that space.
Do you think attachments could possibly do this as well?
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't believe, because I
You
don't
don't believe
believe so.
that?
No, I don't. I believe it has to be some type of
What, sleep paralysis or what?
no, sleep paralysis is fine, but I'm talking about like as far as much as I've studied energy, as much as I've studied spirits, it has to be certain ones. It has to be able to manifest itself to a certain strength and a certain energy. That's why I don't feel it could ever be like a ghost or an attachment. That's my personal opinion. But if you guys have something different,
I just
then
want
go
to mention,
ahead and.
I've had an experience.
Yeah, not until
I
you
really
feel it.
have.
Yeah,
I have
it's-
had this happen. I don't know. If
Rocky drops mic.
Rocky dropped. Whoa! Did you guys see that? Okay, we had some paranormal activity in this place. You guys may have seen that flickering light. That was not anything that was created. Here's Roxy. He's here. I just want to
Roxy
mention
is here.
Roxy. I just want to
Everybody,
mention.
I just cannot talk tonight. Everybody else has had a little
That's
bit
okay.
of
It's
alcohol.
Mercury. I actually just want to mention something that's super important that came to me while you guys were asking this question about psychic self-defense. I am a huge advocate for not disempowering yourself, but giving your power away to other people, other energies, other entities, even other deities, even angels, even anything. We have immense power and ability. Can we call on their support when needed for help and protection? Yes, but don't forget the immense power that we have. We disempower ourselves. It's not meant to be, oh my God, I need you to show up. I need you to be here. I cannot do it myself. It's, you know what, I need some extra protection right now, but don't forget the immense power that you have as a soul, as a
Self-empowered.
being, self-empowerment. That's what we're here for this time around in this incarnation. Step up into that solar plexus energy and step up and just say, you know what, this is my incarnation. This is my power. Get out, and, yeah, sure. If it makes you feel better to use crystals, stones, sage, energies, entities. Archangel Michael's a huge one that a lot of people call in. If you're more spiritually, connected or whatever, and that's your, interest, great, use it. But don't forget the immense power you have. This is your domain. This is your energy. You have sovereignty over your space, your vibration, your energy, and don't forget that. So
Leona says, this is no sleep paralysis. I'm sure it's my ex. This is serious to me. I wake up praying and asking for HOD. Or God, sorry. She corrected with...
I believe
God.
that people can project their energy upon others and do those, especially if they're very powerful with their minds, and can project that energy onto anybody. So there's that, but so she thinks it's possibly that. And also, is there something about wandering spirits, random spirits, or someone fantasizing? So what if someone was just fantasizing about someone and not literally projecting, but just fantasizing?
I'm
Is
sorry.
there something-
Just for real quickly, like I said, this is all just up for a topic of discussion. I do not disrespect anyone in their thoughts. I just put out my personal beliefs. So just want to let everyone know of how I feel.
So my thought is if somebody can be really sensitive to know when someone's just merely fantasizing about them, or can someone pick up on that?
Oh,
or
yeah.
does it have to be a projected thing?
Let me explain this a little bit, because what happens with your emotions and what happens with your thoughts is they are actually the bridge between the physical and the spiritual world. And this has actually been proven time and time again, because if you want to take it down to a scientific level, we all have atoms in our body, so we all have whatever it is, electrons, positrons, neutrons, they're all in our bodies, okay? And those electrons are buzzing around, and they're going from one person to the next person to the next person. Every time you hug somebody, every time you touch somebody, every time you think about somebody, that's buzzing around in the universe, and that is what is connecting all of us on a subatomic level. So because of that, that's how we are able to use the universal energies to heal people, to dispel negative energies, to cleanse our bodies, to actually, even with the power of our thought, even heal our own bodies. Okay, so this is something that can connect one person to another, either good or bad. And so if somebody is actually thinking about things, I actually had an ex one time, and I knew every time he was cheating on me because I could feel it, because he was thinking about me while he was doing it.
Yep.
So that was not a very fun experience. We had that, we had that bond, we had that connection. It took a while to break it. Thank God it finally broke. But yeah, it can happen, and it definitely could be somebody that is an ex. It could definitely be somebody that, it could have, somebody that you had a bad encounter with, and who would still think about that. And if you are sensitive enough to pick it up, yeah, you can definitely not just think about it or remember that person, but you can definitely feel the stuff that they are thinking about or visualizing or whatever.
What the question I actually have for Leona, and she can ping us back, is what specifically issue are you having? Do you just want to be able to figure out how to stop him from coming into your space energetically? Is it that he comes into your sexual energy? Is he in your mind? What is the question?
I guess apparently this individual has passed on.
Oh, he's in the spirit world. Got
Right.
it.
And
Okay.
then
Totally
she
different type of energy.
feels
That's a different
that
energy, yeah.
this individual is
Still attached.
right.
Got it.
And trying to do things of a
it,
sexual
Kim.
nature.
Can I offer something?
Kim's got this. Okay.
So this is something that I used to do that I felt would protect me. I used to take baths at night, and I used to put Epsom salt and
Absolutely.
oils.
Yes. Salts for
A
sure.
lot of salts and a lot of oils.
Absolutely.
And I felt like it was a shield. I felt like it not only did it cleanse my aura of any kind of negativity or things I picked up, it acts as a shield. And it, lavender, spray your sheets down.
I was going to
lavender
say
oil,
the
things
same
like
thing.
that.
I believe that lavender is more of a protection and
Lavender.
more of a cleanliness than anything. Of
Spray your sheets with lavender oils. There's
Yeah.
something that I use you can find on Amazon. It's called Magi oil. It has so many
Love
different.
that.
You don't even need that. All you have to do
yeah.
is get it out of CVS. They have a little bottle there, and you just sprinkle it on
yeah.
the sheets and stuff.
Any
That's
kind of
where I get it. It's
oils.
like $10.
It seems too, Leona, that probably a beneficial thing would be to do what we talked about earlier on in the show, and that is to release what we call the non-beneficial cords.
Yes, you could get some
Yeah.
lavender body wash.
cord
That
cutting.
would be probably something.
Yeah,
time
that
for
would
actually,
suitable.
I was going to
cutting.
suggest that I would suggest that you seek out a Reiki master who knows how to cut cords,
Yep.
because you definitely need to have that in order to move him on and pass him on,
Yeah.
and
He's still
allow him to
true.
rest in peace.
He's connecting. He's intruding. He's in a space that he doesn't belong. Whether he's here or he's not, he's intruding on your space, and it's an unwanted area. So he needs to
Exactly.
be moved on. He needs to. I know you know how to do that, but if you need additional support, we can chat about that and give you some suggestions.
And plus,
Yeah,
the added
please.
benefits of lavender oil is that it's antibacterial.
Yay! Yeah, we'll assist you in that. That is a very real
Inbox
topic.
Kim Lloyd Anderson.
Kimberly Anderson.
Anderson Lloyd, sorry, on Facebook.
Thank you.
So she will help you.
From some of the research I've done, an energy cord is almost like one person taking a straw and jabbing it into your aura or whatever energy field and sucking it.
Would it be chi?
It's kind of relative to that, actually.
Chi, yeah, chi is
in the
your-
space in between the electrons and all of the particles that make up our atoms and stuff. It's not even a real space. It's plasma. It's like this. It's so weird to describe because there's no actual particle, but it's there. It's that cobwebby feeling that like paranormal investigators say they feel when they're walking into a space and there's no actual person there. It's just this ectoplasm that exists, and that is basically the only thing I can describe it is that is what gravity is, and that's what's holding our atoms together, and that's what's bringing them together into the mass that we are as people today. So those energy cords that's what they're made of, is that plasma. And when cutting that plasma, that just separates that out, and it stops the energy exchange.
Very interesting. Very interesting. So, if let's go to Zach's museum now. We're talking about things that have attachments. What is the number one thing that you get that feels like it has some sort of an attachment there?
It's definitely that Dybbuk box. Like I'm no, hands down. It's the Dybbuk box. The first time I walked into that room, my entire body started tingling. Like I'm talking head to toe, hair was on end. I was in spiritual warrior mode. I was ready to fight. Like this thing is going to come out, and I'm just going to totally, have to like protect everybody in the room. And so that was my experience the first time I walked into that room.
I'd have to say on mine, it would be the staircase from the demon house. That'd be my.
Yeah, and
the Dybbuk box. I believe you're right on, but even more than the Peggy doll.
Yeah,
because you're not even supposed to look at the Peggy doll in the eyes.
Don't look at me.
I'm sorry, but I went in. I stared the doll in the eyes, and
I was there when she stared that doll down.
I stared that doll down after we left the room. She called me a bitch. So I don't know if I can say that on the air, but
yeah, I wasn't going to look at her.
I don't know if you can say bitch on the air, but we'll figure it out.
But she did. That was her words, not mine.
It's 5 letters. We should be okay.
Were you affected by staring her down?
Nope.
Not at all? Didn't get any heart sensations? Nope. Kim, what about you?
I didn't actually get that situation, but I've been in that museum a numerous amounts of times, and I will not look her in the eyes again after my first experience, and nothing really frightens me, to be honest with you. I've been in there many times. And
Kim looks like the Peggy doll.
I actually had her visit me in the middle of the night, the very first visit that I made when he opened up in October 2017. Mm-hmm. I went in that room, and at approximately, the typical time they talk about, and it wasn't me programming, and I wasn't afraid. I didn't feel scared. I didn't have any negative experiences when I was in there. I actually went with my mom, and I got woken up, between the 3 and 4 o'clock time frame, and literally I was sleeping, and she came into my face, and she was looking right at me and communicated with me, and I didn't say anything. I didn't mention it. I got up the next day, and my mom actually brought it up to me and said, "Hey, Kim, guess what? We were at that museum the other day, and that Peggy doll, that doll girl," she goes, "she came and visited me in the middle of the night." And I said, "Oh my God, really?"
That gives me the chills.
Yeah. And then I said, "Well, do you remember what time you woke up?" And it was the same time.
Oh my God.
I don't communicate with her again. Interestingly enough, I don't feel anything like terribly like negative with her. It could also be just because I've always had an interesting connection with dolls and not liking them ever since I was a little girl. I mean, I actually had a haunted doll that I think actually had some kind of an energy attached to it. It was a life-size doll, and it was in my closet. And I always, like around the same age probably as you, like maybe 4, I had already started waking up to my mediumship abilities, and I shut them off because, like, I hated this doll. It would talk, and its eyes would move, and it was those ones where they would open and close, and it was it was the life-size doll. And I'm not a fan of dolls. Like, I'm not creeped, but I don't care for them, and I think that's where it got started for me. But she actually did come to visit me. I actually also, not long after that visit, maybe within a month after that, I had an experience where I was somehow astral traveling into the museum, into the kitchen or something, which I've never been into the kitchen. I've never been privy to be in the kitchen in there, but I know that I visited the kitchen and had an experience.
Gray cabinets, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or white, something like that. But
grayish white, very bland.
I've had an experience where somebody actually tried to possess me. And for about 1 minute, tried to enter in my space, and it was a female. I'm not sure who she was, but she actually entered in. It was about 30 days after I first visited the museum, and then something else happened. But I actually, most of the experiences that I have, I get most of my draw and attraction and energy that I feel in 2 spots. One is the staircase going down to the basement, and number 2, I'm not a fan of the Kansas City serial killer room with the gentleman. I always sit that room out. I get physically sick to my stomach, and I always sit out on the staircase on that room. I just don't like it. Nothing else seems to bother me. I did get scratched once. I was really surprised about that. I actually did have a 3 3-pronged scratch, after, and I didn't even notice it till like a day or two later. I noticed it on my back and took a picture of it. But other than that, my experiences have been pretty good in there.
Yeah, unfortunately, due to my spiritual journey and what's going on with my spiritual journey, I will never be attacked physically by a demon. I am protected from that.
Yeah,
for a reason I'm not going to say on the air, but basically, I will never be attacked by a demon. They can't even get close to me. The only way that they can try to hurt me is by possessing somebody else and having them physically harm me, which has happened.
Understood.
Yep. Okay.
I made the mistake of looking into the cauldron. The cauldron.
Ed Gein's.
Cauldron.
Ed Gein's.
Gain.
Yeah.
So it was right after they had a witch in there that did something.
Oh, she put blood and tobacco in there. Lady Snake.
Lady
Snake.
Yeah.
They wannabe.
It was right after that.
Sorry. Can't help it.
And
Jesus Christ.
I went up and looked down in there.
I'm sure he's around here somewhere.
Big mistake. Big mistake.
Do we have any other questions from our viewers?
It says, my mom has always been able to see spirits. We moved into a house, and my mom asked our landlord about the lady. She was seen every night. Lo and behold, the lady passed away a couple of years before we moved in. We also had another incident with an older man coming and sitting on the end of her bed.
Love that one.
Is she considered to be a medium?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, she obviously has some sort of clairvoyant abilities that allows her to have that type of communication. I mean, this is the communication I've had my entire life. So to me, it's completely normal. It's like, watching TV or talking to you or, so it's one of those things that it's just like, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to try to work with it and figure out where it's going to take you? Or are you going to figure out if they need help?
So I got a question for the ladies. If you were to pass on, they say that it takes 72 hours to get into the light. Are you going to go to the light, or are you going to stay here on this earth?
That's not necessarily true, because there's no time or distance in the universe. So you could actually go right away, or you could decide to hang out for a little while until you get to your next assignment. So that could be being reborn. That could be somebody's spirit guide, and you're just waiting for them to be born, which, again, could pass in the blink of an eye because there's no time or distance.
Kim's?
Well, it's kind of understood that if you go to the light, you're going to be reincarnated or reborn or go to a waiting room and wait your next mission, like she said.
You look like a butterfly, but go ahead.
I look like a butterfly?
Yes, you look like a butterfly, but go ahead.
Like right now or in the spirit world?
I don't know. I just feel butterfly with you.
Oh. So there definitely is something about the light and going to the light that is involved with reincarnation and going to a waiting room, or is have you heard of that?
It's a lot of Catholics will believe it's called purgatory, and that you go there to await sentencing, whether you're going to go to heaven or hell.
Jesus Christ.
Basically, you could choose to stick around. I mean, it's you still have free will. Even when you die. So you can actually, going into that light and going through that tunnel, it's just going to take you to a different dimension, a different dimensional realm. And what you do from there is going to be based on what's going to happen with that spirituality. I mean, you could just stay there or you could come back.
Okay, I'm just going to go with Kim. If the probability of you going to the light within 72 hours or staying on this earth after you pass away, which would you choose?
I'm going to go into the light because I've got some destinations to get to, and it's going to be a whole lot cheaper to travel And I don't have to take any luggage, and it's free, so I'm going to be heading on a journey, I'm sure. I'll be heading on right on out, frequent flyer. I'll be going in the light.
Yeah, actually, I have no idea what I'm going to do. I'd love to stick around,
I'm
but
going
I
to
won't
decide
really
when I get there. Once I'm there, I'll be like, okay, what's next? You know?
Exactly. I probably won't even have a choice. God's going to be like, hey, you, by the way, yeah, you, there. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm coming back or not. I don't know. We'll decide once I get there.
Me?
Butterfly.
I'm flying out of here. I'm getting out of here. I am gone. Anyway, out of here. Goodbye.
Any other questions? Are we good? We've had some good questions tonight.
Yeah, right. We got 10 minutes left on this show, so what do you guys want to talk about? You got a little
I do have
paper.
some more questions.
Well, let's
So-
shoot them out.
Kyla attends the Vampires Ball every year.
Actually, yeah, they
You
canceled.
got balls. I like
What is it?
balls.
What is it? What is it all about?
So I don't know if anybody remembers the episode where Zach Bagans got his vampire fangs. Well, if you don't remember it, look it up. Try to find it. He actually, Father Sebastian, who it's Rocky.
It's you.
It's Rocky. He moved. So
Oh,
that really was him. He turned off the lights.
we don't
with his
know
ass.
how.
Nothing paranormal
He
on
didn't
air at the
touch
moment.
anything.
He did. He bumped the light switch.
I saw
Oh.
it. He bumped it.
We
What did I'm in
debunked.
the dark.
Debunked. Actually, check the cord.
The cord.
Yeah, check the plug, dude.
We're cutting cords.
So anyway, let me talk a
these
little bit
attachments.
more about the ball.
Yes.
Debunked.
So it basically.
Oh, hello.
Debunked.
Hi again. Here I am. Hi. Anyway, so basically, Father Sebastian hosts the Vampire Ball all over the world, and I actually ended up finding a post on Facebook. And that was a couple of years ago, and they actually were holding one here in Las Vegas, and so I went to the one last year and the year before. And there was more TNA in one single room than I have ever seen in my entire life.
Explain. What did you say?
TNA.
TNA. Okay.
TNA.
Got it.
Lots of TNA.
All right, guys.
Vegas style.
Got it.
And so anyway, I had a lot of fun. No, I did not get fanged. I had my own, but I do want to get fanged. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go to the Las Vegas Ball, Vampires Ball this year because they canceled it. So I'm actually going to try to make the New Orleans.
Yeah. When is
Vampire
that?
Ball.
by the way?
It's Halloween.
Wait. Wow. How cool would that be?
Yeah,
Okay.
in New Orleans, Halloween. I know some peeps out there. I don't know if anybody knows who Patty Negri is. Again, she was a guest on Zach Bagan's show.
Yep.
I actually met her in real life. Got
sure.
her book. She's a sweet, sweet, sweet lady.
Absolutely.
Absolutely love her. So, if you know Patty, just say, hey, shout out.
Hi, Patty.
Patty.
But I absolutely love that woman. And the last time she was here the entire weekend, and I got to hang out with her all weekend. And so we had a blast.
So, are there real vampires that go to this ball?
There are some that do drink a lot of booze and with some other stuff. There may be a few energy vampires running around. I happen to be one of them. Only from obviously, some donors and stuff.
Right.
But anyway,
Wait, hold on. Now,
well, look at the
what
time.
is an energy vampire and what is a real vampire? What's the difference?
basically the historical version of a vampire. If you actually get into the research of it, it goes back thousands of years, like all the way back to Egypt. And they were actually considered to be stronger. They, unfortunately somehow it got confused with them actually needing blood to survive, but they really didn't need the blood to survive, but they did need life force energy because they were used to a different vibration. So they would actually use people and suck that energy out of them. They would be donors, and sometimes they'd get a little too greedy with it, and so the person would have some serious illnesses after and eventually perish. But that became the blood thing became really big with Romanians and it started in that end of the world when people were getting sick and they were dying, and they were digging up the corpses and didn't understand the processes of death, death and dying and decay. So, there are some people who do utilize the benefits of having a blood sample from a donor because they get that essential life energy that they can't get through manifesting it on their own in their own bodies. So there are people that do that. But energy vampires, again, it's that exchange of energy that a lot of healers will use and whatnot. But energy vampires, there can be good and there can be bad. Some donors, I don't know if you know who Michelle Bellinger is. She used to be on Paranormal State. She's a psychic medium, but she's also an energy vampire, and she has donors who will come and she will basically do a Reiki type of touch in certain energy points on a person's body and actually draw the energy out. That way. And so that's what a lot of them do. And then others, like myself, got it from having certain activities, extracurricular, if you know what I mean.
I don't.
I don't.
We had sex.
Oh, well, we missed that one.
And there's
So what do you mean? You can get energy from having sex?
Well, yeah,
Or-
because they're when you have sex with somebody, I mean, obviously there is an energy exchange.
So are
and that's-
you courting them technically?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Usually a sexual vampire will have a lot of people attracted to them.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
like this, it's this otherworldly draw that they're just like, I love you.
I have to have you or
I
something.
have to have you. Exactly.
Gotcha.
And it basically, can drive that person kind of insane. And that's happened to me too many times to count. Are we ending on my big cheesy grin?
No, I'm
Okay.
very interested about this because I know I've heard you talk about it before, and
Still got 4 minutes.
Fill the dead air, ladies.
I don't. Is it the same thing as chi that you're?
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes spirits
God bless you.
spirits can draw chi from your aura or your being to manifest, right?
Well, actually, the Oriental term for chi is just basically energy, so that's the same thing. But a friend of mine would correct me and say, "No, it's ki." Okay, yeah, Jamal. Anyway, but that energy is actually used in martial arts to overcome an opponent. So if you can master that, you can actually knock them halfway across the room.
Master sexual energy to knock your opponent down.
No, not sexual energy.
We're refraining from that.
Oh God!
But literally bringing it in from the universe and then pushing it back out towards a targeted spot. It's the same thing that healers.
Which spot?
Can I ask a
Your
question
face.
real quick? Does this need to be permission based? I mean, the donor and the recipient, so to speak, would need to have permission with one another, or would they?
Generally, yeah, they get permission. Sex is just kind of a given consent.
Let me ask you, what does the person on the other side get out of this?
Sometimes they will get an exchange of energy. The donors will feel a depletion of energy, but then it gets filled in with new energy and refreshed energy. So,
From like just intentions, or does it just where there's a void, something will come and fill it?
yeah, it's more like where there's a void, something will come and fill it. Because a lot of times, energy vampires, they don't recycle that energy. I, on the other hand, do recycle that energy because for as much as I get from somebody, I'm recycling it and giving it back to that person. So it doesn't matter what area we're in.
You got to give to get.
So that's very interesting, because then was it really just a misperception that it was really like literally draining somebody's blood so that they were no longer there and then they turned into a vampire? So was it really just energy and not really physical blood?
Yeah, I would say that, because again, this is based on my research and my own personal experiences. Going back to, like I said, going back to Egypt, they literally believed that vampires, because they did have a better stature, they had stronger bones, they were a little bit taller, they could run faster, and so they were better. Basically, they were kind of like a superhuman almost, and they were considered to be the protectors of
So
humanity.
you said they had better bones. Is that where the term boning came from?
Or bloodletting. Was that lends new meaning to bloodletting? Bloodletting.
Something.
Right. It's just very interesting, though, right? Yeah, it is. So it goes all
Yeah.
the way back to Egyptian.
Yeah, I
huh?
would
But
definitely.
it could be
Even
even
before
longer.
that, but that's
Sumerians, who knows?
right.
Yeah, actually, I'm thinking like, even before that, probably Atlantis.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, our producer over there, Rocky, is telling us that our hour is just about up. Is that right? Do we have
Get off the air.
Well, we certainly want to thank everybody for tuning in and just hanging out. We're we enjoy these topics. There's so much to cover. So,
And I
thanks for
really enjoy
having
the
me.
flow. Just
really,
go
I've
with the
enjoyed
flow.
it. Just go with the flow. There's, obviously a topic, but just whatever shows up. And obviously, it's really important. We've loved having you for sure, Kyla. It's been a
Definitely,
pleasure.
Kyla. Definitely enjoyed having you here. Thank you so much. You've been so informative. Thank you for all the information.
Thanks to the viewers for your questions and just tuning in and your support. And, make sure you message and let us know some of the topics you would love to discuss or learn more about, or even if you guys are experts in that area or of some type, we're always open to other guests to come on.
If anyone wants to be on our show, if you're local, you'll come on over. But if you can Skype in, you can be anywhere around the world. You can Skype in, and we'll love to have you. Just let us know.
And thanks for having me, guys.
No, thanks
honestly,
for being
I
here.
hope that even if anybody didn't actually agree with everything I was saying, at least I hope I learned something.
Knowledge is power.
Knowledge.
It's,
Exactly.
it's
I hope you learned
important.
something.
No, we appreciate it very much. Thank you all for tuning in.
All right.
Good night.
So I think that's going to wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, and have a great night.
Bye.